Welcome to The Explainer. So growing up, we were all fed that exact same line, right? Pick a career you love and you'll never work a day in your life. Yeah, well, looking at the job market right now, it feels a lot more like, I don't know, a giant, overwhelming wave of dread. You scroll through social media and it feels like it's going to take a lifetime to land that next gig, let alone get that student loan balance down to zero. But listen, here is the actual good news. The source material we're looking at today proves that most of the advice out there, it's making things way harder than they need to be. We're going to unpack this and hand you a highly structured three-step escape plan. We're going from totally paralyzed to officially hired.
4.2%. You know, when we talk about how terrible unemployment is right now, we are honestly kind of lying to ourselves. The actual unemployment rate in the US is sitting at just 4.2%. Let's put that into perspective for a second. If you get 100 available workers in a room, 96 of them are currently employed and working. 96! That completely blows up the whole doom and gloom narrative we see plastered all over the internet every single day.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Here is our comforting, structured roadmap to get you hired. First, we'll cover the job market illusion. Then, step 1, master your mindset. Step 2, skills and connections. And finally, step 3, apply smartly. Starting off with section 1, the job market illusion, debunking the myth. Now, if 96 out of 100 people are actually working, why does your own perception of the market feel so incredibly skewed? Look, it is totally valid to feel hopeless when you can't seem to land an interview, but we've got to debunk this myth that nobody is getting hired right now.
Now, what's really interesting about this is something called the unemployed internet theory. This explains exactly why we all feel so doomed. Think about it. The people who actually have jobs, they don't have the time to sit around making content about having a job all day. They're literally busy working. So what does that mean? It means almost all the content on your feed is being created by teenagers, bots, students, and, well, unemployed adults. You're stuck in a false echo chamber of rejection, and it's absolutely tanking your confidence. Just because nobody on your feed is getting a job absolutely doesn't mean the market is cooked.
Moving on to section 2, master your mindset. Assume you will win. Look, before you even think about opening a single job board or messing with your resume, you have to get your head in the game. You literally have to assume that as long as you try, you are eventually going to win. Most people failed simply because they assume they're going to lose, so they just stop trying altogether.
We're looking at two classic self-fulfilling prophecies here. First up, the downward spiral. You complain that the market is cooked, right? So you put in way less effort, you inevitably get rejected, and boom, that tricks your brain into believing the market is even worse than you initially thought. It is a massive trap. But then you have the upward spiral. If you tell yourself the market is actually fine and that you can get a job if you just put the work in, you start applying maximum effort. And what happens? That naturally increases your chances of getting hired. Complaining is literally tricking your brain into failing.
I really want this quote to sink in. Once you know how to read and how to type on a keyboard, the main thing that decides whether or not you get a job is your own belief of what's possible for you. Honestly, from this moment on, you need to permanently delete phrases like, the market is cooked, or there's way too much competition from your vocabulary. Your belief dictates your outcome. It is absolutely crucial.
All right, section 3, skills and connections, upskill and network. This whole phase of the playbook is all about how you actually bridge that massive gap between a minimum wage gig and a high-paying career. And you do that through targeted upskilling and strategic networking.
When we talk about upskilling without completely quitting your life, the source points to platforms like Triple10. They run these online boot camps that train you for high-paying tech jobs, and the data they share is pretty wild. They're boasting an 82% job placement rate within just 6 months of graduating. And get this, they actually offer a 100% refund guarantee if you don't land a job within 10 months. And that's even if you walk in on day 1 with absolutely zero coding experience. Crazy, right?
Now, speaking of upskilling, we gotta talk about the elephant in the room. I know you have seen this quote floating around. Did you know you can make $250K a year as a welder? I read it in a Reddit post. Social media just loves to push this magical, fairy tale myth that pivoting to the trades is an instant ticket to a massive $250,000 salary after taking like a 1-month class. Let's break down why that whole Reddit meme is completely false. The myth tells you it's fast, easy money. But the reality? We're talking years of being a super low-paid apprentice. A realistic salary is honestly closer to 80 grand a year, and it takes a massive, massive physical toll on your knees and your back. hitting that 250K mark, that usually only happens if you eventually start your own successful company in your 40s, just so you can replace your completely worn-out body by hiring younger workers. Basically, there are no magical shortcuts.
So if the shortcuts are fake, how do you actually get an edge? Well, you network, specifically by using the coffee chat strategy. Here's how it works. You find someone on LinkedIn who is currently working your literal dream job. You ask them for a quick 30-minute Zoom call just to learn how they got there. But here's the golden rule. Do not ask for a referral yet. Reaching out to real people gives you up-to-date, real-world advice that just completely blows any outdated online guide out of the water. You are building a foundation of trust. That way, a year down the line, you aren't just some no-name random. You're a genuine connection.
Moving into our final phase, Section 4. Apply smartly. Tactical application. Actually applying to jobs is technically the easiest part of this whole process, but fair warning, it is also by far the most tedious. You are definitely going to need some smart hacks to get through it.
Let's just rapid fire the absolute best operational hacks from our source material. These are your low-effort, high-reward tactics. Number 1, apply within the first 24 hours of a job being posted. Honestly, companies are lazy. They're just going to interview the first people who apply. It is infinitely better to be the first applicant for 10 jobs than the 1,000th applicant for 50 jobs. Number 2, never ever postpone applying just so you can quote-unquote study for interviews. Apply constantly so you're actually motivated to study. Number 3, track the whole shebang in a spreadsheet. And number 4, always circle back and ask those connections you built for referrals.
Now, I know you might be tempted to use all the flashy new AI tech out there. Don't. Skip the overly complicated AI networking tools that just sit on your computer, drain your resources, and constantly beg you for premium upgrades. Instead, stick to a basic, standard browser extension to autofill those repetitive job application forms. Keep it incredibly simple.
So the crucial point here is this: do not use a fancy resume. Seriously, ditch the wild colors and the crazy graphics. Stick to the boring, standard one-page template that literally everyone else uses. Why? Because companies want readable content, not a flashy design project. If you tweak a boring, easily readable resume with the exact keywords from the job description, you're going to sail right past those automated resume reading bots. Let your content be the star, not your formatting. And how exactly do you make that content stand out? You use the ultimate resume bullet formula. It is time to stop just listing your basic responsibilities like it's a list of chores. Instead, use this precise 3-step formula for every single bullet point. Step 1, state exactly what you did. Step 2, explain how you did it. The tools or the specific skills you used. And step 3, highlight exactly how the company benefited. And you absolutely must use numbers, dollar signs, and percentages to prove it. That completely shifts your resume from a boring to-do list into a powerhouse of impressive accomplishments.
So, let's bring this all together, right? What actually happens when you combine the right mindset, targeted upskilling, and a really smart rapid application strategy? Well, you effectively remove the anxiety from the equation. You step right out of that unemployed internet illusion, and you finally realize that job hunting, it's really just a simple, totally manageable numbers game.
I want to leave you with this final, highly memorable analogy from the source material. Applying to a job is kind of like asking someone out. If you never give up and you move past all the rejections and just keep trying, someone will want you eventually. I mean, take some comfort in that, right? If you follow this structured system and you just refuse to quit, your eventual success isn't just possible, it is mathematically inevitable. So what's stopping you from sending out that first application today?